My name is Ariane Telgen. I have worked for over 20 years with problem horses of all kinds, and another focus of mine is training for riders and horses. Here I support riders with competitive ambitions up to the advanced level, as well as recreational riders in maintaining health and calmness. Through my many years of experience as a recognized equine physiotherapist and osteopath, I am in an optimal position to identify and solve problems on various levels. To make this possible, even over long distances, I offer online consultations or online support. This is a successful alternative to an in-person visit here at the farm or admitting your horse as an inpatient. I'm just receiving a new email. It's about a 13-year-old gelding that no longer leaves the yard alone and is also afraid of all new objects encountered in the field. I have already been able to get to know this horse a bit through the online assistance. We have also already some solved problems about this, but nevertheless, the owner asked me to work very intensively with Happy Feet here at Hof Eicheneck to permanently solve this problem. And now I am very curious about what is coming my way.
Now today give my horse Happy Feet into the care of Ariane Telgen. I've had Happy for a good 6 years now. To my knowledge, he was sold through an auction due to his qualities and then used successfully as an eventing horse, which you could see based on the service book entries. What surprised me a lot after I got him is that you couldn't ride him off the yard alone at all. He would always decide himself when the ride was over, both on the cross-country course and during regular rides or even in the jumping arena. Yes, and those are just things that got worse over time. Let's say the normal handling things like, for example, stopping things. A horse should, to my knowledge, be able to go through water with versatility. All things that were absolutely not possible. And for third riders or riding partners, he was then also classified as dangerous. Well, in the meantime, I had already put him into training also for a lot of money back then for on the recommendation of other riders. It actually didn't bring the desired result. Actually, the problems were even worse, and after I got him back. But I think it's also a phenomenon that occurs more often, where horses listen when certain riders are on them. For whatever reason or however the riding style is, it doesn't really get you much further. Yes, but I didn't want to give up right away, and then started to do a bit of research myself, and then came across the website of Hof Eicheneck. Yes, after I read a few case examples there, which I found quite impressive, I filled out this online anamnesis form and was really curious about what would come back. It took 2 or 3 days, but then I actually received a response, which, yes, I found it quite pleasant. And they also asked a lot. I had to send videos so that everything could be assessed. After that, indeed, quite a bit of solid tips and also assistance that I could try out on my own at first. But due to the overall package, which I think was also related to my lack of experience working with such horses, and that indeed a few physical issues were not quite right, which actually surprised me, since I had already spent a lot of money on equine clinics and checks, which always all wonderfully expensive, and also in the result. I decided not to invest further, but actually the paths should now slowly part. And I am also very skeptical if it's worth it now. What I would wish for is that it might one day be possible to just relax with the horse to take a small ride without always depending on someone else coming along. Yes, I'm curious when we will meet again.
To a successful outcome.
I was able to get a first impression of the existing problem, and we'll start with an introductory session on the first day. In the round pen, completely without fencing, because I wish for 100% voluntary cooperation from Happy, and I want him to follow me trustingly and voluntarily. Today I would like Happy to join me, even though I am carrying a whip and yellow bags. My first impression of him is that he is grateful when he can give trust, but it is visibly difficult for him, and he falls into a state of shock, eyes closed, and just push through and that's why I would like to cut off the escape route in the next step. I do that with a halter and lead rope. And I would like to show that you can also move casually and freely with these things. Today, from a completely new perspective, we're chasing the dreaded object a bit, and during the takeover, he doesn't find it so great anymore, as you can see here. He would prefer to make a run for it, but that also gets better with each round. He relaxes more and more and realizes that it's not bad at all if something flutters around above him. I like to end training sessions with fun and motivating activities. Today, for example, we're doing water treading, accompanied by Colossus to Whispering, who's a real little seahorse, providing a lot of security here. Next time, Happy should be able to do it alone. Yes, as you can see, I mounted him. He is walking very relaxed. This is also his safe environment here, and I'm just going to ride into the yard now. That's the way home. We'll go a bit further. Well, come on, let's go. Great, excellent. Yes, come on and follow along. Well done. Happy and I are eagerly waiting for the farrier because we want to take a close look at his hooves. As some stress cracks have started to appear early due to the significant strain in his young horse age, and also in sports, and also through the prolonged misloading due to the crookedness has partially deformed the hooves, and we naturally want to achieve the best results in terms of correction.
Here we have a horse, which we typically always see with these horses. A horse that puts more weight on the inner hand, meaning it puts more weight on the inner hoof wall than on the outer one. We see it as follows with this horse, that the inner ear the inner hoof wall is steeper than the outer one. This means the outer one is longer, but it doesn't go down longer. Instead, it extends more to the side. This causes the problem here that the horse's gait is also against the supporting leg. Runs, what the farrier needs to pay attention to here is the following, that the inner side is left as is and the outer side is shortened. With this horse, as the toe was very long, we used an iron with side clips, which we forged with a straight toe to push it further back, to get the breakover point further back, thereby making it easier for the horse to roll over.
Happy Feet and I leave the farm for the second time, heading towards the field. Here we already encounter some mysterious objects, as you can see. Happy Feet feels relatively sure by now and also asks more frequently, blocks as well if he wants, but can be convinced to move on without rearing with a little patience, which makes me very optimistic that we will indeed reach a good conclusion.
I've got 100 miles of East Coast interstate to avoid, 'cause the weekend traffic makes a parking lot a Highway 95.
Today I want to prepare Happy for our little ghost train. What I notice here in the riding arena is that Happy moves as if with the handbrake on, not really using his hind legs as an engine, and his head is simply parked in a learned position. I would really like Happy to voluntarily stretch down in my hand and use his hind legs as a motor, and for that I lightly tap him and stroke his croup. And you can clearly see that he becomes more relaxed with each round and can even carry himself in self-carriage posture and bending in the end. We are now on the way to the ghost train. Here, all sorts of things are set up that one might encounter in the field, like fluttering objects, fallen tree trunks, piled up heaps of wood, so everything that... And I am very curious to see how Happy will react to it, whether he will express it as usual with rearing and turning, or if our foundational work is already bearing some fruit, and I can gently persuade him to go with me there.
I'm only a moment away and a minute out. At the end of my drive, she's waiting for me with a kiss in those eyes I've been dying to see. Every end, every mile, every new town I reach, mile markers and headlines, I'm closer to free. Back to where I came from. I'll be half a state away. Time with her is never quite as long as it seems. At the end of my drive,
Because he simply ended his career as an eventing horse by rearing and refusing. He was sold at an auction back then due to his qualities and was successfully used in sports until he eventually just ended his service for whatever reason. What usually happens with such horses, I don't need to tell anyone. Happy Feet was lucky to come to an owner who actually wanted him as a riding horse and for occasional jumping, and thus he was fortunate to end up in good hands. Only with these relaxed rides, Happy did not really get along. He especially panicked over plastic, tree trunks, bridges, anything that comes up in the terrain or on other yards. He really reacted with panic and rearing, turning around and bolting through the middle. Yes, and so he basically ended up here with us. And simply with the goal of restoring his trust so that he happily approaches new objects again and his new owner can ride him relaxedly across the terrain. Exactly. Without seeing a ghost lurking behind every tree? Yes, now the time with Happy Feet is over, and I have to say, he has lived up to his name. He came up with something new every day, and I had to dig pretty deep into the bag of tricks to always achieve the desired goal. Right, Happy? When Happy Feet came back then, not only did he bring refusal and rearing, but also many physical problems. The hidden wolf teeth, misalignment in the neck and jaw joint, massive blockages in the spine, lymph congestion, especially up here in the shoulder, and trapezius area, a pinched sciatic nerve. And what accumulates over the years with all these physical problems? Yes, due to his physical deficiencies, an extreme crookedness developed over the years, which of course does not make riding easier and also does not promote the health for the horse's health. Whoa, 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 whoa. And what has clearly emerged while riding is simply a lack of basic training. No, Happy Feet hasn't learned to stretch forward and downward to the bit. Instead, he gives me the impression of being a typical draw-rein horse, which really keeps asking, may I go out, or will I be pulled further? And urging forward is naturally made more difficult since he is terrified of gardens and whips. What I have personally often encountered with horses that are prepared too young, just too quickly for upcoming tests. Yes. And now I am happy that I can release Happy Feet and his owner here with satisfaction and hope they have a lot of fun in the open field.
So, I am curious. So I have had him here for almost 9 weeks now. Yes, and I was already allowed to have 1 or 2 lessons on the secured grounds. We have already tried out quite a bit. A few things that he didn't do before are working now. That wasn't really the intention, but that he just goes through water or gallops past obstacle courses and so on. That was actually something I thought would be nice to have. One gets used to it not happening. One thing really stood out. You can get on comfortably, adjust the girth, and the horse doesn't run away. Yes, so and now comes the thing why I brought him here. That you can finally ride out alone without having a second horse or a group with you. Yeah, now the camera probably won't come along because otherwise I wouldn't be alone. I have a cell phone with me. I'll call if I want to be picked up. See you later.
There's a push and there's a pull. There's a new moon and then it's full. The tide will rise and rise until it falls. And there's a rhythm to it all. There's a you and there's a me. There's a pattern in the chaos, a current in the sea.
Yes, we survived. Yes, exciting. It works a big round. We had everything with us, bicyclists, pedestrians, car. He was very attentive. I always had the feeling, well, something might happen any moment. But he always went ahead diligently. What I also noticed is that he walks much more diligently, that he walks more on the hindquarters. We had trot in there, a short gallop section. I think now that I know what to do if something goes wrong, instead of riding home, I can do the rest at home on my own. Yes, so it's definitely a worthwhile investment. If I had known that something like this works, I probably would have done it 6 years ago. I could have saved myself a lot of trouble, and the horse, I believe, too.
There's a heart in every home, a young